Okay, we now welcome on a very, very, very special guest. He's the architect of 2 Super Bowl championships. It is our Grit Week interviews presented by Hey Dude. It is General Manager, Executive Vice President. Is that your official title?
You can call me whatever you want.
Okay, it is Howie Roseman. Howie, thank you for joining us. We start every interview Grit Week with the same question. I'm actually going to change it a little. How do you define grit in players you're looking at, and maybe how it shows up when you're scouting guys?
Adversity. You want to see how people are handling adversity, overcoming adversity, and that could be in different areas of life. That could be off the field, that could be on the field, but we know how hard it is to play in the NFL. We know how hard it is to play in Philly, and so we understand that there are going to be moments during the course of the season, moments during training camp where guys are going to face adversity, and what are they doing to respond to that? So we are looking for guys.
I love that answer. I seen this video. Well, not seen it. I seen that beginning when he said adversity, but I paused it right there because I didn't want to go over the whole video. I wanted to get my raw reaction. But I like what he said, adversity. When you think of Jalen Hurts, even when you think of A.J. Brown in Tennessee, how they didn't want to pay him. When you think of Saquon Barkley, he didn't get paid by the Giants. People thought he was washed. So I look at it like it's a preseason game today, right? And you think of a guy like Keely Ringo, and he mentioned training camp, right? Keely Ringo has been going through it. He's been going through it. How can he handle it? Will he bounce back? Will the media get to him? We will see. But so far, he haven't been looking too good. Let's see how he bounced back. You know how I give props to? Johnny Wilson. Johnny Wilson started training camp off bad. He got in the game. He did his thing. And since then, he's been picking up steam. Tyler Steen, as time went on, he got better and better and better. Now, a guy like me, is quiet about Tyler Steen. I am quiet about Johnny Wilson. But I still got my microscope on Keely Ringo. How can he handle it? How can he bounce back? But let's let Howie Roseman speak.
We've had adverse situations, overcome them, and you can go through our roster. It's funny because I was thinking about what I was going to say at the Super Bowl parade, and Bob Lang, our great PR guy, says to me, hey, you got to speak for a couple minutes. And I'm like, what am I saying? The night before at 11:30, I figured out, I'm like, every single one of our players, our coaches, our staff, I think myself, have overcome something in their life to get here. You just can go through the team. Lane Johnson was a JUCO quarterback, best right tackle to ever play the game. Obviously, Jalen Hurts, A.J. Brown, his team didn't want him. Devontae Smith, third receiver. I could go through every player on our team, and then I got hit in the head with a beer can, and everything changed. But I think that's really how I would define grit.
Okay. I would say Jalen is a great example of that. The fact what he went through in college and how he responded to that, he just seems like the right type of person that you would want in your building. Is that, when you were breaking him down before the draft, was that a major factor in how you evaluated him?
And he kept getting better, and there was constant improvement. This guy was working on his craft. Every part of the process you saw from when he was a freshman, and people forget, he was the SEC Offensive Freshman of the Year, this wasn't like this guy hadn't had success, but everything that didn't work for him, he worked on to improve, and he continued that even when you saw him at the Senior Bowl to the Combine. And it was the same for him when he was here, from the time that he came in during training camp, because that was the COVID year, we didn't have an off season with him. And then you saw him play towards the end of the year. He kept getting better and better. And so when you have guys who, you got to be talented, at the end of the day, it's hard to play in the NFL. And so at the end of the day, all of these things are really important, but you got to have physical ability too. So he had those. And you looked at him and you saw kind of what was winning in the NFL and how successful he was even winning in college. And quite honestly, we didn't think he'd be there when we picked in the second round. It was kind of like, yeah, we like this guy. Probably not taking him in the first round, but this guy is still sitting there in the second round. That would be a gift. So I think that's kind of how we felt about it.
We were joking with Trevor Lawrence when we had him on the show a couple weeks.
I love that answer about Jalen Hurts. You know what made me think about him coming to this realization that grit matters, but he said talent too, is Carson Wentz. no offense to Carson Wentz, right? Carson Wentz was so talented, was second pick in the draft. He did his thing in college. But the moment Carson Wentz dealt with adversity, he shrunk. He shrunk. Yes, Nick Foles won the Super Bowl, but you got to bounce back. You got to bounce back. And I always say I was on the side of Carson Wentz played a huge part of the Super Bowl. Without Carson Wentz, I don't think we make it to the Super Bowl. But Carson Wentz never seen it that way himself. And we seen the way his career went, or is going, because he's still in the NFL. Just a backup, second, third string quarterback. Whereas though at one point he was at the top of the mountain, but the moment he dealt with adversity, he wasn't that great. Till this day, Jalen Hurts, Super Bowl MVP. Super Bowl MVP. You know what everybody's saying? He ain't throw for 4,000 yards in the season. He was carried this, that, and the third. A Super Bowl MVP. So Jalen Hurts constantly deal with it. Deal with people possibly even want him out the city. There's people actually still calling for his number now. Like, see, I told you he wasn't that good. A Super Bowl winning quarterback was not that good. The media is after him. Some of these fans, fair weather fans, are after him. But he handled it very well. I even go to A.J. Brown. A.J. Brown deals with the media all the time. I say he one of the greatest Eagles wide receivers ever. He deal with it. Oh, A.J. Brown's selfish. He just want the ball, this, that, and the third. Like, really? We're talking about a top 5 receiver in this league. To me, the best receiver in this league. So I like how Howie Roseman evaluate guys. Because, yes, you can be talented. You can be talented. But what I seen being an Eagles fan all my life is that some of these talented players, especially coming from other teams or whatever, they can't deal with Philly media. They can't deal with the pressure. And these are talented dudes. But when you got grit and you really want it, that's nonsense. You don't hear it. You go out there, do your thing, and you get the praises from the real fans, the real media that got your back. So Howie Roseman, I think he learned the lesson. He even said himself, like, I dealt with some stuff. And I heard on the previous podcast, he was saying, like, yo, it's an obvious choice I didn't make, getting a wide receiver who's going to be a Hall of Famer. But I learned from that, and that's why you get a Devontae Smith. That's why you trade for A.J. Brown. Hell, that's why you take the risk on a Jalen Hurts. Hell, that's why you get a Jahad Campbell. Don't overthink these things. But Howie Roseman know what he's doing. I'm happy how his mindset changed, because one of the problems I had with Howie Roseman at the time, back then, great accountant, know how to do the contracts. He good at picking those late round picks like Jordan Mailata. Even in recent years, you see what Mauro Jomo is doing. Those mid-round picks, I think Sidney Brown is going to be great. But that first, second roundish, he used to overthink. That's why we end up with a Jalen Reagor, But at the end of the day, Howie Roseman fixed it. Now he just like, yo, I'm going to go with the big schools, 1 and 2. You got to have that heart and that grit and that grind, because you're going to go through some stuff. There might be a stretches of losses or some quote-unquote bad wins where the media is going to be on your back. Do you shrink? And this made me think of Keely Ringo. Today is a football game. Eagles versus Browns. Keely Ringo, you're dealing with some adversity right now. Right now. Can you handle it? Can you handle that pressure being on you? We will find out, because this is his last opportunity to start for the Eagles. If he don't get it this year, Keely Ringo is going to be somewhere else. So you got to grind, man. Look at your teammate, your Georgia teammate, and Nakobe Dean. Nakobe Dean been through the ringer, but he played football. Everybody on his side. He got hurt, unfortunately, but can Keely Ringo fix whatever is going on mentally? To me, at this point, I think it's a mental thing, because he got the physical attributes. Like, come on. Keely Ringo is like 6'2", 6'3", 200 plus pounds, can keep up with any receiver in this league, but he can't turn his hips. Like, come on, it's a mental thing. It's a mental thing. Keely Ringo. But this is the one I wanted to drop. This is the one I seen. And again, I know it's a game today, so I didn't want to give a full video. Maybe I'll break down the game. Maybe Sunday morning, we'll see. But this is Eagle Owl, man. I'm out.